Hello YouTube, I Fix It All here, Team I Fix It All. I'm picking up on another part of my inverter modifications. Again, if you backpedal to part one, I showed in detail the face of these inverters that have plug-ins. The openings are just too small. Way too small. I'm going to turn on a different light here. That adds a lot of shadow. Not sure I like that. Let's just stick with that. And these are 3,000 watt peak, 1,500 watt max. I love the way they play around with this stuff, but this is the interface. And you just can't plug anything into the front easily. They're just real difficult. Everything is just so engineered, so tight. And what I have done is modified the faceplate to accept these kinds of plugins, which are called panel mount outlets. I got 20 of them on eBay. And they integrate several ways of connecting to them. They've got slip-on terminal or spade terminal interface capability. They have forked, where you can slip a conductor in there and slit the insulation. And then you can, let's see, how many ways? You can solder directly to the terminal, like I did in the first video. So yeah, I think that's 3 different ways. I thought I had a 4th. And then this is a retainer backer. So this video is because on part 2 I didn't like the outcome of what I had done on my first inverter, and I've got 3 of them here to modify. So I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. On the previous video, part 2, I had these guys like that, straight up and down, and I ganged the terminals together and then brought my ground, hot leg, and my neutral over and soldered them on. But there was too many solder points, so what I want to do is do something a little different. I want to make use of the slits inside those tabs. Let me get a couple of outlets here. Get some wire. Might as well start off fresh. Save that for something. I might need that as an insulator one day. So I've decided to change it up and mount these sideways. And the reason why I say that is because that'll give me the ability to, instead of going up and down like this, if I go sideways, I can interface the slits inside of each one of these terminals. You can see the metal tangs. I'll pull one out and let you see. Wrong tool. Here's the hot leg. These little suckers are kind of hard to pull out. I do wish there was a different way. There we go, I can do that. Okay. Here's what I mean by they're slitted. You can literally lay the wire in and with the proper tension push it down into the slit. It'll cut through the insulation and make contact with the copper. And when I do that, let's see if I got this right. Yep. When I do that, that'll allow me to line up these slits in line with each other so that I'll have my neutral leg in line with my neutral, my ground with my ground, my hot with my hot, my big finger in the way. I can lay my neutral to the neutral, ground to ground, hot to hot. But I need to get them spaced out proper. So let's just get started. Let's see, is this what I want? I want this to go ground to the right. Yeah. We'll go to the left. Doesn't really matter. Okay. So let's just get busy on crimping things in, and we'll zoom you right in close and you can see what's going on. All right. Zoom back a little tiny bit. There we go. So right here is my hot leg, and here's my hot leg. So I'm going to lay that black wire in there. And I'm going to push down and make an indent in the insulation. because I want to take it away and observe where the indent is. Sometimes when you run across these types of outlets that are ganged like this, you find out they just crimped them and that's it. They just pushed them into the tangs and that was it. They didn't solder or nothing. Well, my plan is to not only set the wire in the lugs, but also come back behind myself and solder. Okay, there's that. Find my other mark. Since my mark is right there, and this is 18 gauge wire, I'm going to remove some of that insulation. Hope you guys are in frame. Yep. There we go. Okay, so that one's made up. Go ahead and set this one in there. You just push straight down once you spread your pliers out. There we go. And there we go. Turn on this overhead light here. See if it helps any. So that's recessed pretty deep, the black. The next one I'll do is in the middle. I'll jumper the ground terminal, which is your center. Let me think here. This is the front. That'll be fine. I'll cut this off and leave a little bit sticking out because what I'll do is strip this and pigtail it, and I'll solder from the inverter, I'll solder my hot feeder wire to this. Now with the ground conductor, it's already stripped. I'm staggering. I'm going to let the ground stick out on the right hand side. See if you guys are even in frame. Yes. Let me just scoot over a little bit. Put that in there. That's in there. Cut that off. And then I need my white. Push with my hands to make a mark in the insulation. Okay. And I'll strip a bunch of that away. Oops, where'd everything go? I hate when that happens. Find where my other divot is in the insulation. Yep, that's it. Lay the patient sideways. Try to slit that. There we go. Peel it off. Since I'm zoomed in, I got to keep on checking if you're in frame. Now I'm going to straighten it out. Get the tool and push it down. There we go. And this side. That could go a little bit further. There we go. Looks like that ground could go a little bit more too. Yep. Okay, so now here comes the hard part. I have to extract them all. The reason being is because I'm going to be putting heat on them with the soldering iron. And I don't want that heat translating down into the plastic of the connector. So I'm going to try to sneak in there and pop it out. There's that one. Okay, got that. Ah! Let's see where it is. Straighten this out a little bit. That's where that needs to be. Let's see if the next ones are more forgiving. Okay, that came out. I really wish there was a different way to do this. Like if I could come in from the front somehow. There's that. Yeah, future note to self. There we go. That worked out nice. Okay. Okay, so with that being said, now I'm going to be laying solder on these. But as with the previous video, I need to remember to crimp these shut a little bit too, because I want good friction on the tangs on my male plug that gets plugged into these. Alright, hang tight. Setting up the soldering iron. So let's do some soldering. First of all, you must have flux when you solder. You must have a sponge with water in the sponge when you solder. You must have a soldering iron which the tip is well tinned. I'll zoom back a little bit so you can see a little bit more. Okay, so I've got myself organized here. Only the essential things that I need are within reach. I have a magnifying glass I'm adjusting right now so that I can see all the fine details. And I'm going to use a, what is this stuff? Something the wife had. It's for eyelashes. An applicator, but anyway. I'm using that. I'm going to flux these up real good. Must have flux. You have to have flux. I don't give a damn if the damn solder says flux core solder. I don't need flux. You have to have flux. It heats your metal up quicker and it bonds things better if you have flux. I would rather use the liquid flux. That's hazmat. That environmentally friendly flux ain't worth a shit. I can tell all my solder joints look haze gray and underway. Whereas when you use real flux, the stuff that's bad for you, everything looks like a mirror finish. So here's the condition of my tip right now. My soldering tip. You'll see I'm favoring one side. I could tin both sides, but I don't need to. Grab a wire brush and rake it off a little bit. And with that flux, make sure you're on frame. I'm going to zoom in close on this action, but I'm going to reach in and I'm going to grab solder and let it walk on the tip. It jumps right on. It leaps right on. It's right there waiting for me. And I'm just going to hold it right there. And I'll zoom way in so you can see the action. Of what happens when you do a proper solder job. If I don't move, I think it's drifting a little bit on me. Come this way a little bit. Alright, got to stay there. Put some solder on there, on my tip. I'm going to hold this. I'm going to go right on the copper conductor. And I'm going to wait until I see that solder start to flow. Because there's a lot to heat up here. It's got to heat up the lug and that entire area to include, yeah, I can feel the heat now walking through the insulation. And when you get done, when you lift off, don't jiggle nothing around because that's still molten solder. You'll end up with a mirror finish. It has to be reflective. I felt that heat all the way back here to this other lug. Flux is an acid. It will remove and boil off impurities, allowing you to make a better connection. So there's one side of it that's done. Let's see if anything came through. So I'm going to add some more on the other side. So, same steps. Add flux. There is a point when you can have too much flux, but you just can't have enough flux most of the time. Alright, you're in frame right there. I'll clean off soldering iron tip. Let me show you what I mean by that. What I meant is I just got done doing some work, so I immediately want to go to the watery sponge, clean it off, and examine the tip and make sure that it's bright and shiny still. And if it is, proceed. And I'm going to walk some solder on. It'll just jump right on my soldering tip. Just run right up on it. Gently lay that down. Zoom you guys in. It's 100% max for me. And let's try to let this solder get on this here connection. I use a magnifying glass because of several reasons, but also you can actually see the solder begin to make connection to the metal surface that you're applying it to, because there is a point when the solder melts, but it's not connecting yet. You can actually see it start to flow. I'm not going to move it around real hard yet. God, it's hot. Whew. And I'll examine my connection here now. Let me take a look at it first. Yes, that's what we're after. Nice, shiny look. It should be mirror, not gray. Should add some on the peak of that slit too. I think I will. I think I'll add some to the inboard side. What I mean by that is in here, right in there. Slow going, I know, but the devil is in the details. I'm going to try to add some right in here. So I'm going to add some flux. And I'll manually feed in solder this time. Always keep an eye on your soldering iron. Make sure that it's clean and free of debris. I'm going to try to heat the lug up and get that copper in there to a state where it get this thing to take solder. Gotta wait for it to come to a boil. I think I'll zoom you in on that, because bigger items with a smaller soldering tip takes a lot of heat. And it says 100% right there. Maybe I'll try to come in right here and heat. If you're lucky, you can see something boiling right around now. Takes quite a while to transfer all this heat. I can't see. I can only see the top view. But I'm just guessing now, but solder is going somewhere. So let's just cross our fingers and see if we did something. Let it cool down and hope and hope. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was after. Sucker's hot. Oh. Okay. So, next thing we do is we clean it with alcohol. Any alcohol will do, but this more parts per million of alcohol, the better. Get some of that COVID-19 stuff, because tell you what, we didn't used to have a lot of good alcohol. Like 70% was like considered good, but ever since COVID, you find all this overstock of 91%. So get a few jugs of that and put it up in your deep storage. All right. Remember, flux is an acid. It's a corrosive. Okay, so I think I get that plenty good. Okay, so you can almost, you can tell that that's a shiny look to it. Almost mirror reflective. And it's mounding down to the tang. And I got that side. It's reflecting light real well. And that's all the solder I'll apply. So I'll do the rest of these and save you guys the nightmare. Hang tight. So I figured out that my larger Weller or Radio Shack brand soldering iron does the best. I call it Weller because Radio Shack's been out of business so long. Weller was, I don't know if that's an alternate brand that's like Radio Shack, but it's a, to tell you the truth, I just noticed it's an actual Radio Shack brand soldering iron. I find things and I salvage them, and either that or somebody gives me something. Yeah, Radio Shack. What do you know? Let's see if you're in frame. This lays down more heat. Put a weight on the end of it. Wait till my flux starts boiling. There we go. Should be able to start feeding some solder now. That should be enough. We'll see. Move on to the back one. Did I flux that one too? I believe I did. Another thing, if you're leaning right over this stuff, hold your breath while you're soldering. If you can't avoid it, you know, just hold your breath. It's pretty damned hot. But that's not a bad connection. I'm going to lay some more down on it though. Step away, let the smoke clear. Oh. Lift off real easy. Let the smoke clear. Let it cool off. Let's see what we come up with. It's pretty good. Alright, do some cleanup. Zoom back a little bit. may want to reheat this because I did that with the little soldering iron. I want everything to be equally heated. I just can't stand knowing that I did one piece of the project different from the rest. Because if you recall, I did the black lug, the black bus bar. I did it with the little soldering iron. So let's do that. I think we'll just reflux those up. Reflux this black bus bar up. Apply heat. And pile in some more solder. Lots of times I end up soldering and I don't have an exhaust fan, and I know better than to breathe in the smoke. Oops, what am I doing? Toothbrush. Almost time for me to put my chickens up. It's a cold day here. Alright, so got that, got that. Ready for you guys in YouTube to quality check me. QC the thing. So here's the neutral bar. So-called neutral bar. Anyone out there who works on inverters can laugh all they want because I know what they're laughing at. Okay. Not a whole lot piled on, but it's a good connection. And that one too. Alright. There's this one. Okay, yeah. There's my hot bar. So now what have I achieved is I can now get back to this panel here and I know this is the bottom edge of the panel that snaps into the faceplate of the inverter, I can drop these into their respective stalls, and the top slot is long, so that tells me it's the neutral. Push that down as deep as it'll go. Oh, you sucker. Dang it. What did I do there? I rolled it. Didn't expect that. Stand straight up again. Drop you in like that. Okay. Just want to push you down in there. That's all the way down. Yes. Oops. Dang it, I forgot to do that thing I wanted to do. Oh. Want to squeeze these together a little bit. So they make a good friction contact when I put a plug in. There we go, there's that one. I expect doing this is going to make my plugs a little tight in the beginning, but they'll break in. Okay, so that's my neutral. God, I did it again. It's crazy. Why is this happening? Must be the shape of this toothbrush. If you haven't noticed by now, I have a lot of patience. Some of the little projects I do. Well, no wonder that was screwing up. I got it backwards. It's a good thing I had these many screw-ups. I didn't know you could put them in backwards. What the hell? Who knew? Yeah, that totally makes sense. Now I should feel it go in the little slot. There's that. Same height profile. Yep. God, I can't believe I had that backwards. It's quite alright. Okay, put the ground in. I can't recall. Let's see. I thought I had the ground configured in such a way to where crooked. Yeah, that's the way I had it laid out. Now it's ready to clip in. Yep, there's that one. There's that one. Same height. And then I've got my hot leg. That looks a little high. There we go. At this juncture, I should be able to put my backer plates on now. And lock in everything that I have. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, where'd the backer plates go? These only go on one way, so I gotta fiddle fart around with it a little bit. Let's see that. I think this is what I'm after right here. Right there. Okay, next I'll strip these off and make little pigtails to make my terminations. Hang tight.